Hello people, this is Self-Tuts and in this video we'll see about virtual environment in Python. When you are developing multiple apps in Python, then it becomes very difficult to manage your packages. So you are working on different Python app and you require different version of the same module, then it becomes very difficult. In that case, using virtual environment in Python is your best friend. Suppose this black box represent a Linux system. This can represent a Windows system also, but currently I am taking it as a Linux system. So this is my operating system and Python is installed inside it. So the first question that arises in our mind, where does pip install Python modules? Pip is a package manager that we use in Python to install our module and use them. So whenever we install a module through pip, it should go somewhere inside our Linux system. So there must be a path in our in the Linux system, or there must be a folder in our Linux system where pip is installing or storing those modules and we are using it later. So to know the path where pip installs those modules, we can easily write this script using import site. This import site says that we are using the module site and then we are printing site.get site packages. So it will give the different path where pip install site packages. So we are inside our Linux box and I'm using CentOS. So this is my Linux system and I'll do a ls. This will list the files that are present here and it says that the current file that I'm seeing here is the listing path of pip packages. So I'll see the contents of this file and I'll use Vim for that. When I'm seeing the content of file, it says please import the module site and print site.get site packages. So I will run this file using Python listing path of pip packages.py. So this gives me three paths where pip is installing the site packages or the modules that I am downloading. So the first path is user lib64 python 2.7 and site packages. The another one is this and the another one is this one. So we'll open a new terminal in our new tab in our terminal and you'll go inside these paths. So first we'll go to the path user lib python 2.7 and site packages. So we'll go inside user lib python 2.7 and then site packages. So inside this folder we can see these are the different modules that pip has already downloaded. I am working on Amazon Web Services and have installed their AWS CLI, which is a command line tool, and you can see that module is present here. You can see the concurrent module is present here. You can see that S3 transfer module is present here. You can see that yum related modules are present here. So this is the folder where pip installs the site packages. Now we'll go to the first path and we'll say what things are present here. So we'll go to cd user lib64 and then lib64 and then python 2.7 and site packages. We'll do a ls here and you can see that these are some other files or other packages like snack.py, audit.py. These are also installed or present in that path where pip installs the packages. Now you must be wondering that when I have written this simple script that is listing path of pip packages, then I'm using a module named site and where this site module is present. So this must be present in the path which we have seen currently. So we'll go there. We'll see I'm currently in I'll do a pwd. It says I'm in user lib64 python 2.7. So I'll go one folder up and this time you can see that I'm inside user lib64 python 2.7. So I'll do a ls here and you can see that these are the files or these are the Python modules that are present here, or these are the by default module that we get when we install Python. So we need to search that file site.py, which is the module that we are using here. So we are using in listing.py, we are importing a site module. So we'll try to see that if that module is present here. So we'll do a ls and we'll grep site. So you can see site.py is present, and if I'll search here, then if I'll search in this stats, so you can see that site.py is present here. So this is the module that we are using when we have written that simple script. Now we are using a module with the name A, and the version of that module is 1.0. So we may be developing some web apps which is using the module A, which has a version 1.0. So suppose we are making a web app project and that uses this module A, which has a version of 1.0. Now suppose we need the same module A, but we need the version 2.0 for another web app. So if we'll try to install this module A now with version 2.0, that will override this module A, which is present in the folder where pip installs the module, and that can create problem. So the other web apps or the previous or the older web apps which were dependent on this module A with version 1.0, they will break and they will not function correctly if there are some changes in module A from 1.0 to 2.0, and that doesn't support the backward compatibility. So this can create a problem, and our older web apps or older projects will not function. So what we need to do here is we'll create a virtual environment folder, which means that if there is no virtual environment, then by default all the packages that we download from pip is getting installed inside this folder. Means the path of the folders we have seen, and those paths were these, means by default these those pip packages are getting installed inside these folders. But now we are trying to download those folder, and we are trying to store those modules inside this virtual environment folder. So we'll create a virtual environment in our system, and now if you are using any import statement or any pip install statement, then all those modules will go inside this virtual environment folder and not inside the this path folders where pip by default stores the module. So there is a separation between the module, that module A is present inside those path modules of pip, where by default modules are getting stored, and this is the new path or the new place in our Linux system where we are storing the module. So we can create multiple virtual environment, and we can maintain the different version of same module, and our web apps or our projects can use those modules. Now we'll try to install virtual environment. So to install virtual environment, the prerequisite is you have to have Python installed in your system and pip package manager installed in your system. Now we'll try to install virtual environment. So we'll do sudo pip install virtual environment. So it will go to the server and it will try to install it, but since I have already installed it, so it has used my cached version of my package, and it is installing it from there. So now we have installed it, so this package must have gone to the default paths which we have seen. Means this virtual environment package or module must have gone in any of these paths. So we'll see here, we'll go to cd user lib Python 2.7 and site packages, and we'll do a ls. So you can see when I've done a listing of file, you can see the virtual environment.py is present, and then virtual environment support is present here. So this confirms our learning that when we install modules or packages using pip, they are getting installed inside these three folders if we have not instantiated or activated any virtual environment. Now we have successfully installed a virtual environment inside our Linux system. So we'll try to create a new virtual environment. So for creating a new virtual environment, you have to use the command line tool, that is virtual environment, which we got after installing this pip install virtual environment, and we have to select the folder where we want to create the virtual environment. So inside our gist folder, we'll use virtual virtual environment and we'll create it inside the VNV folder of the current folder. Means we'll create a new VNV folder in the current folder, and that will be our virtual environment folder. So we'll try to create a VNV folder. So virtual environment is creating the VNV folder. Now if we list the files, we'll see a new folder with VNV has been created, and if we see the contents of this file, then you can see these are the contents of the file, that is lib64. The same thing that we have seen here, that here lib64 is present and lib is present. The same way it is creating these folders here, and if we'll activate the virtual environment, then the files or the modules will be read from here. So we have created we have installed the virtual environment successfully. We have created a new virtual environment successfully. Now we need to activate the virtual environment. We have created the virtual environment, but we have not activated it. Means still if we use any import statement, then Python will or pip will try to import those packages from these paths and not from this path, from the virtual environment. So we need to activate the virtual environment. So to activate the virtual environment, we need to type the command source, then the folder path, and bin and activate. This means we are activating the virtual environment. So we'll use source VNV, which is the folder there present, and then we'll use bin and activate. So upon hitting this command, you can see that this VNV prefix is present here, which says that the virtual environment has been activated. So now if we'll import any statement, if we'll do any requiring of the modules in our Python codes, then it will try to load those packages from this folder which is present here. From this VNV folder, it will try to load those modules from the VNV folder. So we'll try to install a Python module that is called Flask. So we'll use pip install. First we'll see where this Python how we can go to Flask and install it. So we have opened our browser and we'll search for Flask, and then we can go to the website of Flask, and you can see that to install Flask we need to fire this command pip install Flask. So we'll go to our Linux box and we'll say pip install and then Flask. So it is going to the server, but as I have used it earlier, so it is downloading it from my cache folder and it is not going to the server. But I can do this by saying pip uninstall Flask. First I'll uninstall it, and then I'll say no cache dir, means don't take the files from cache directory, but go to the server again and download it from there. So pip install no cache directory. So this time it is going to the server and it is downloading from their Flask, but as these files are already, which are the dependency of Flask, they are already present in the cache, so it is not downloading it again, but this time it has downloaded Flask from there. So now we'll see where this Flask has got installed. So we are in home, vagrant, self-darts and gist folder, and inside this there is a VNV folder. So we'll do vim and then nut tree, and we'll open this VNV folder. Inside VNV folder you can see lib is there, and inside lib you can see site packages are there. So inside site packages you can find this Flask folder has come now, and this says that the Flask has been installed inside our virtual environment and not in the default path of Python packages or modules. So I'll quit this, and you can see that the Flask has been installed inside this folder and not to the default path. So I'll write a simple Flask, just I'll use a simple import statement and say app.py, and I'll go to the Flask website, and you can see that to import Flask we need to use this statement. So we'll use here and we'll paste the command here, that is Flask import Flask. Since we are in our virtual environment, so if we try to run this file using python app.py, and since our virtual environment is active, so the Flask module will be loaded from here, and the Flask module is present where the Flask module is present inside our virtual environment, but it is not present in our default path. So we'll try to run this file python app.py and see there's no error, there's nothing. Now the question comes how to deactivate the virtual environment. So we'll deactivate the virtual environment by typing the command deactivate. So you will use deactivate, and now you can see the VNV prefix has gone, and there is nothing in front of my in front of this line. So if now I will try to run this python app.py, it will not find any Flask module and it will give me error. So python app.py, and see it says that no module named Flask. So why it happens? This is the important concept that you need to understand. When I have installed Flask, I have activated my virtual environment, and then I use my command pip install Flask. So what pip did, it installed the package in my virtual environment folder, but it was not installed in my default path folder. So when I have deactivated the virtual environment, there is no Flask present in my default path, so it is giving error. But when I activate, suppose I'll say source VNV bin activate, I have activated the virtual environment, and now if I'll try to run this python app.py, see there is no error. When I'm deactivating it, I'm running it, it is giving me error. But when I'm activating my virtual environment and I'm running that file, there is no error. So I hope that this clears the concept of virtual environment in Python. If you like my video, please subscribe to it and please give a thumbs up.